So this morning, and I have until 12:20, I'm going to talk about online strategies for recruitment. Is that what everybody came here expecting?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm actually going to have you do some exercises as we go. So I know you've got the handouts. Make sure they're handy. But I also want to let you know before I get started that we actually have an opportunity to participate in a online training funded by the National Science Foundation that is coming up, and it's grant funded. So I will be talking about that at the end. So if you like what you see during this time, I will tell you more about the grant funded training opportunity through NSF. And the applications are due, I think it's January 16th. It's got the date in the PowerPoint. So there's still an opportunity to participate with the team from your school. Okay? So we're a very small group, so I'll be very informal as we go along. And if you have any questions or whatever, just raise your hand. And let me dive right into the content. And so this is actually a module from our online training that I'm using, and for some reason this is not, there it goes. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is that your online recruitment is critical these days. And I'm going to show you some numbers to some studies that really emphasize that. How many of your schools currently do online recruitment of students? Raise your hand if your school does. Okay, so just one, and that would be more like schools working within your sector.
I'll also view college, but it's kind of generic. It's what you see on the web page.
So I'm going to show you some statistics from studies that show this is the #1 way that college students find out about college and programs online. Yes?
I have a question. Will we have your PowerPoint?
You won't. Only if you participate in our online training. So you won't. So the biggest takeaway that I want you to have right from the start, if you did nothing else but you were able to implement this in your school, would be huge, which is that in your online marketing, and this is true for all of your outreach materials, it's critical to have 50%, half, female role models. And if you're trying to recruit from a particular ethnicity, then it's critical to also have that group represented in the images as well. And so sometimes, for many years, people would say to me, well, you know, Donna, we have one female, and one female really won't do it. For career pathways, they have maybe 10% females, 5% females, even 20% females. It needs to be 50%. So let's go over these studies, and then I'm going to show you some positive examples that talk about how critical online marketing is. So this one is from 2011, and it looked at the expectation of prospective college students and their parents. And the key findings were 1 in 5 students said they were moved to school from consideration because of a bad experience on that institution's website. And the first place that students and their parents went when they went to the website was, guess where? The program page. Now, what is usually the most neglected area of the school's website? The program page, right? But that's the first place that students and their parents would go. So number 3, 27% of students with Facebook accounts visited this college's Facebook page. I would imagine that's even higher percentage these days. 55% of students watch videos on the college websites. And by the way, all the social media marketing shows videos are very effective. I'll give you some examples of that in a minute. Well, I'm sure 100% of students use email these days. And this is important because often people will say, well, they never check the email that they give, but 93% of the students check the email that they gave the college. The other thing that is important, especially for two-year colleges, is that low-income students use mobile content on their phones, so it's really important to have websites optimized for mobile I would say for community colleges in general, because overall many of the students who go there are low income. So this is another study, 2012, on e-recruiting. Now the first study was on four-year colleges. It's hard to find this on two-year colleges, but this study actually looked at both four-year and two-year colleges. And they found that in a four-year college, the typical student received 15 bulk or blast emails. But in a two-year college, they only received 2. So it's about time that two-year colleges get on the email blast bandwagon, because it's an efficient way to create a relationship with the student. And most students actually said they found it helpful to receive these emails. This was in a separate 2010 study, 79%. You know, nowadays you can't send one email. You have to think about it as an email campaign. And you need to have, in the past, what you might have been able to do with one email needs to be a half dozen emails these days. So keep that in mind. Email campaign. So this great thing about online strategies is it's really hard to find female role models in career pathways in which there are few that can come in live, right? Because there aren't that many, and they're really busy, and everybody's asking them. But when you go online, you see how that really opens the possibilities of exposure of female role models, of which there aren't that many, to many more female and male students. And you can do that in a variety of ways. And so the thing that is really important that I want to emphasize to everybody here is that one of the most important reasons that students choose a school or a career pathway is because they feel an emotional connection to someone who was in that career pathway or a role model. And so the great thing about going online is that you have the opportunity for the students to really hear about the story of a variety of female role models and female students who are currently in that career pathway. Anybody here listen to Garrison Keillor on National Public Radio, Prairie Home Companion? Or anybody ever like listen to old time radio stories, or even any kind of radio programs? They help you to see a story in your mind. And so when we, whoops, give me and so when we use the web in this way so that we get to see a story of what it would be like to be in CNIT, your career pathway, for example, then that's really going to help those female students to make that kind of connection. So the other great thing is that not many schools have this kind of female content on their website. So if your schools have this content, that's going to really put you ahead of other schools. Everybody see that? So let's take a look actually. And so this, I just want to show you, if you participated in our online training that I'll be talking about, then you would actually get, and this is also something you could buy from us as well. It is a Women in Technology Outreach Kit. It has a great index table of contents because it's a few hundred pages. And it includes things like a role model questionnaire with great questions that we've tested working with role models, and a program information worksheet with the key information that we know students want to know about your program and career pathway. And so these are all things that could feed into a section of your website specifically to recruit females. And also in our training on the recruitment side, we have a personal encouragement conversation that is part of the training, and we have samples, and you develop it and you practice it. So you can actually even take elements of that personal encouragement conversation and incorporate it into your web page. Okay, so let's take a look at a school that has been very successful. Olin College in Natick, Massachusetts, actually is among the top 10 schools for women in engineering in the country in terms of percentage of females. And I believe it's 47% females in their engineering program. So when you go to their program website, well, take a look at what you see. This is the home page of their website, and you can see that those top images are half female. And then here on the bottom, a little harder to see with the mask, the welding masks, but it looks like there are 2 females here on the bottom as well. And so that sends a really strong message, doesn't it? Right on that program homepage. And also look at the wording. Awesome projects. See their work. Real innovation from real Olin students. For females, they really connect in particular to what you're going to be doing, what the context is. And you know, and they want to go look and see what the projects look like. Now, luckily, because they're half females, a lot of those projects, if you were to go in and take a look at them, have a lot of content that appeals to female interests, and that's really important. So that the engineering is also about helping people and not just about bridges. Now, I'll tell you, I have worked with many colleges around the country, and often when I go to a page for engineering, do you know what I see? I see equipment or buildings. And that is not going to appeal to the majority of female students. So does that make, everybody see that? That makes sense? Now, the other thing that they did at Olin was they have a sustainability specialization. And the sustainability specialization, again, we know that the research shows females in general really care about how the technology is going to be used, or how engineering in this case will be used. And so they actually tell the whole story of one of their female students who goes to on a trip to India, where she helps with affordable design and entrepreneurship. Isn't that cool? So this is an example of a best practice by a school that has 47% female students. Now, the other thing that they describe is the Olin curriculum, and they say an intro mechanical design prototyping course. Students take nature as a theme and develop bio-inspired ideas into functional prototypes. Again, the context helping, not just about the machinery and the equipment, which the research shows overall is attractive to males, but they have context. And this is a blog post about a female student, Meg McCauley, her first semester at Olin. The emotional connection and the story. Okay? So what I want you to do is take out your white sheet, and I want you to write down your first online recruitment strategy that you are thinking about you would like to do back in your school. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that, because I'm making you actually work during the workshop. You've got 2 minutes. I'm sorry?
What a concept.
What a concept.